Hello guys, this is my Module 12 reflection over internet safety. So I'm going to get started here with question number 1. Using information from the provided resources, why is internet safety so important and what is your role as an educator in teaching internet safety to your students? Specifically, describe how you can teach internet safety in your future classroom. So internet safety is very, very, very important. There's so many things that go wrong on the internet. There's a lot of online predators, there's cyberbullying, there's you name it, it happens on the internet. So I think as an educator, it is very important to teach internet safety to students. I think that you could never stress it enough, but you need to kind of educate yourself on what's going on around you as far as the internet, and teach based on what's going on with your students so that it actually resonates with them versus just reading off of a typical just a plain guidelines, and it may not even relate to your students. I think it's very important to relate to the students about the internet safety and what's going on, and not just rambling off a bunch of facts and why they shouldn't do this and shouldn't do that, because then they tend to get more curious about that kind of stuff. So I would teach to my class specifically what they have going on in their lives as far as the internet goes. So number 2, what were your thoughts after exploring the NetSmarts website and completing the Teaching Digital Citizen Training Program? Do you feel the training program is relevant and useful for all educators? I thought this Teaching Digital Citizen Training Program was a really great tool to have as a teacher. I think it's very relevant and useful for all educators. I would definitely encourage it to be used in the school system and make the teachers go through this training program. So number 3, reflect on the main points described in the youth safety article and describe what useful information you were able to take away from the article. So the main things that were talked about in this article, it started out with the child and youth internet safety. It's a category-based approach. So in those categories, you'd find cyberbullying, sexual solicitation and unwanted exposure to sexual content, the role of privacy, parent and community involvement, and intergenerational gaps in attitudes toward internet safety issues. And then at the very end, you had the recommendations section. So with cyberbullying, it talked a lot about there's lots of different types of cyberbullying. It's kind of hard to get true statistics on cyberbullying because of the variances in it. Cyberbullying is when it can be anybody can be a cyberbully, and some people don't even know they are, and some people do, but it's just a matter of getting online and doing things like a bully would do to you in person, like say things or whatever. You're doing that to other people, like you're commenting on their things, you're being negative, you're being hateful, you're whatever it may be. It's like you're hiding behind this piece of technology and not doing it in person, and you're just doing it behind this piece of technology. So the sexual solicitation and unwanted exposure to sexual content kind of comes from that too. There is so many options on the internet to find to be sexually solicited and to be exposed to sexual content. It's so easy in this generation to be exposed to that kind of stuff. It's not as hard to get to. It's not as what's the word? It's too easy. It's a problem. So the role of privacy is talking about how, things aren't as private as they used to be. People are able to get into your accounts and they're able to find stuff about you, and you have to be careful what you post, because that can be used against you in any way. You need to be very private about your life on the internet. Parent and community involvement. It talks about how you as a parent can, monitor what your children are doing on their technology devices. How you as a community can kind of get together to kind of work on this issue and get people involved. And I think it's very important as a parent to know what your kids are doing on their devices. And to educate yourself to be able to figure out how to know that stuff. There are lots of kids are really smart these days, and they can figure out how to hide it. So as parents, we have to educate ourselves on how to find that information and how to look for that information and all of that kind of stuff. And then the intergenerational gaps and attitudes toward internet safety issues talks about the different generations, like the older generation, their attitude towards internet safety is much different than like the younger generation. So the older generation, they are more scared of the internet, versus the younger generation, they just do whatever, and it's like, I don't care if somebody sees it, I don't care, they just do whatever they want. So there's different attitudes towards that based on generations. And then that last part about the recommendations, it kind of gives you recommendations on how to work on some of these issues and how to solve them and how to move forward from it. So that is pretty much all that article is about. Okay, thank you guys.